Hey guys, Abel here, back with another video, and today I want to make a video which is a bit more philosophical in nature and, if you will, a bit motivational. And this is in good part was inspired by the latest video I put out on the story of how I got down to 8% body fat for the first time. And it's interesting that as I was putting together the video, I was so caught up with the actual storytelling and the editing and all of that I actually didn't even notice how much of a DYEL I was back in the day. I mean, as I was watching back the video, it was pretty shocking, to be honest, to look at how skinny I was and just how little muscle I had at the time. I mean, I always kind of knew that I didn't have the greatest genetics for building muscle, and I didn't have that super aesthetic build, and I'm never going to be one of these crazy fitness influencers just based on how I look. But looking back, I actually realized how much of a hard gainer I actually am, which I guess in a way that's kind of a good thing, because that really forced me to actually learn about how to train right, how to eat right, which is not that difficult to master. But really, people like me can't just mess around with stupid diets or under eating chronically and perma-cutting. Some people can do it. I mean, some people, regardless of what they do, they will get good results. But I've just never been one of those guys who went to the gym and week after week, month after month, my body just started changing and my delts just shot up and my legs didn't fit into my jeans anymore. No, for me, it took a lot of hard work, patience, and also intelligent work to get where I am today, which is still not crazy impressive. And this is the actual thing, or one of the actual things that I want to talk about here is even now. I mean, that video that I showed you 2 days ago was 4 years ago. And at the end of that cut, I was 75 kilos. Now I'm at 91 kilos at a higher body fat percentage, of course. But I think that I put on a good 5, 6, 7 kilos of muscle since then. And I'm in a much better place in terms of where my physique is. But still, I tend to be just so harsh on myself sometimes, which is kind of inevitable. And that's kind of one of the curses of social media and just comparing yourself to other people. That sometimes I just look at some of these guys and look at their chest and arms and abs and those super symmetrical ab insertions. And I'm thinking, man, I will never look like that. Like, why am I cursed with my shitty genetics compared to them? And really, it's a stupid thought process if you think about it, because you really have to appreciate where you came from. And now when I looked at this video, now I realize for the first time in a long time just how far I've actually come, which is something that I've said a lot in different podcasts and videos. But really, looking at a footage of yourself 4 years ago really makes you appreciate all the hard work that you put in, and really makes you realize that it's really worth it to push yourself and really see how far you can actually take your physique if you really put in the effort and you remain patient enough and not get discouraged just because you don't look like one of your favorite fitness influencers. So really, I just want to get this message across to you guys without being too cheesy, that don't get discouraged, even though you might look at yourself and think that, man, I'm 5'11" or 6 foot tall, only 75 kilos, and I still don't see my abs. Like, how the hell am I ever going to look like someone who actually lifts? If you remain patient, you put in the work, don't get discouraged, you have no idea how far you can actually push your physique. And here I am. To a good extent, I still don't look like I lift compared to some other people that I even know personally in the fitness world. I mean, Mario Tomic, for example, I will put up a picture here that we took when we met at a conference 2 years ago. I mean, he is out-angling and outsizing me by a long shot on this picture. And hopefully now, after 2 years and putting in a lot of work and building a lot of muscle, hopefully now I could look closer to him, at least in physique. But still, I will never have the arms that he has. I will never have those great blocky abs that he has. That is just what God gave him, and we both have to appreciate where we came from and how far we can push ourselves. So really, if you're a hard gainer, I feel you. I am that as well. For a long time, I've been feeling insecure about the fact that a lot of my friends, for example, knew that I'm into fitness and I'm really passionate about it and I'm pushing myself hard and I'm dedicating time to developing my physique in the gym. And it still didn't actually show on my physique. I didn't actually look that much better than they did, even though they didn't lift at all and they didn't give a shit about their nutrition at all. But over time, the cumulative effect of a lot of actions done the right way will add up to something. So again, don't get discouraged, keep putting in the work, and you will get to a much better place than where you are right now. Okay, so that's the motivational part of this video out of the way. The other thing that I want to reflect on, and this is something I of course talked about a lot on this channel, is just look at again what happens to a guy who doesn't have a lot of muscle and decides to get very lean. I mean, it's not like before that I was big and jacked, but at least I had the semblance of someone who lifts somewhat. After that, I actually just looked like an emaciated, tiny, skinny, malnourished guy. Is that something that you want for yourself? Probably not. And I'm going to throw someone else under the bus, because of course this is not the best example, because at that time I was 75 kilos at 6 foot. I still had to build tons and tons of muscle. I mean, I was nowhere near my genetic potential. Even now, I still have a good few pounds of muscle to build, but at the time I was probably a good 10 kilos short of where I could eventually peak out at some point. But look at someone like Eric Helms. And Eric Helms is someone who is often portrayed as the poster boy of bodybuilders with poor genetics. I want to make it very, very clear that Eric Helms doesn't have bad genetics by any means. He has probably above average genetics. He just doesn't have an aesthetic build. But Eric is basically as large as most of us will ever get naturally. I mean, he has a fat-free mass index of about 24. At 90 kilos now, he has a very aesthetic 10%-ish body fat percentage, which looks really good. In the off season, at around 100 kilos, he still looks relatively athletic and he's still not overweight by any means. So Eric has very decent genetics. He just doesn't have this very aesthetic build because he doesn't have the broad shoulders. He doesn't have that armor plate chest. He has good abs, which is a strong body part for him. But look at other guys, again, like Mario Tomic, who is much smaller than him in terms of absolute muscle mass, but he is just put together much more aesthetically, I guess. But if you look at someone like Igor Opashensky from Vitruvian Physique or Omar Isuf, who probably many of us would kind of intuitively think that they must have better genetics for this whole physique building game and they must be bigger just by looking at them, Eric is actually easily bigger than both of them when they're posing together. So the point is, even someone like him, who is sort of at the peak of what most of us can achieve naturally with average-ish genetics, he did a body fat percentage test in some lab not long ago, and he posted a video of this on their 3DMJ YouTube channel. And I mean, look at this video. I mean, we are talking about a guy who has a lot of muscle mass, just had a 7-year off-season where he was trying to build a lot of muscle, has a PhD and 2 master's degrees in nutrition and training related fields, knows everything that you want to know about nutrition and training, and where he gets down to 8-7% body fat and gets relatively flat, probably he didn't have a really good pump on this video, this is where it washes out. I mean, damn. Now again, unquestionably, he's going to look amazing on that bodybuilding stage where he will have the tan and the posing routine and he will shape his body and all of that stuff. But when a natural guy gets down to that level of leanness and just walks around and doesn't have a good pump and doesn't flex crazy hard, that just doesn't look that freaking impressive. So again, the question inevitably becomes, why? I mean, why go through all of that dieting and food focus and developing borderline eating disorder-like symptoms just to end up looking like someone borderline untrained, even as someone who pretty much maxed out on the amount of muscle mass that someone naturally can carry, like Eric Helms? So again, to me, looking at footages like this just confirms what I've been thinking for a long time and what I've been saying for a long time, that for the most part, getting down to these levels of body fat is just an unnecessary way of making our lives miserable. If you have a specific goal, like if you're a competitor and you want to step on the bodybuilding stage, or if you're a fitness model and you get paid for it really nicely, or maybe you have a business and you want to shoot a couple of photos of yourself in peak condition, maybe I will do that at some point myself. Yes, in those cases, it can be worth it. But for the most part, just enjoy being well fed, performing well in the gym, feeling good in everyday life. 12 to 15% body fat is an awesome place to hover around for the most part, and really just stop with this freaking nonsense of trying to be 7% body fat. So yeah, I guess thank you, Eric, for confirming that as well. And I want to thank myself as well for having those footages from earlier on where I had much less muscle even than I do now, and I was trying to get down to 8% body fat. So yeah, for this Saturday afternoon, this was just a short philosophical ramble. I hope this was somewhat insightful to some of you. Let me know what you think of everything that I just said in this video. Drop it down in the comment section. Like the video if you liked it, or dislike it if you disliked it. Troll me, I'll troll you back. Subscribe for more content like this. And with that, see you next time.